So you join me at Bang and Olufsen of Lincoln. This is the only place I've managed to find that has Beolab 8000 and Beolab 18 that are available to hear side by side. Surprising really, Beolab 8000 was one of B&O's most popular speakers, running for about 25 years, but they're quite hard to find within the B&O dealer network now. So this is a great opportunity, and I'm very interested to hear how the two speakers sound side by side. So let's find out if a quarter of a century of B&O's technical wizardry has improved one of their most iconic designs. So here we are, side by side. It's quite unusual to see them together. I've been listening to Beolab 8000s for the last 25 plus years. I've had plenty of time listening to their new replacement, Beolab 18, but not till today I've actually heard them side by side, and well, that's quite a surprise. Let's have a quick look at the speakers, and hopefully I'll try and explain to you a little bit about what's so special about them and also where the differences are. So first of all, the Beolab 8000, a design icon. Launched in 1992, it's a David Lewis design. He was the master designer for B&O for decades. And if you ask any person off the street to identify one B&O product, I'll put money on it being Beolab 8000. Absolutely iconic. It's been seen in TV and movies for decades, and you can pretty much guarantee any high-end home anywhere around the world that you look round on TV will have at least one pair of these somewhere. So, standing just over 1 metre tall, beautiful organ pipe shape. You've got two 4-inch bass drivers in there and a little 3/4 inch tweeter. So, very, very slender. Nothing at all like your traditional monkey coffin hi-fi speakers. These are a thing of beauty, first and foremost. Fit in with any decor, don't take up too much floor space. Quite nice performance. When they were first launched in 1992, however, the pre-production versions that were sent out to some of the hi-fi reviewers received complaints of very light bass. So B&O very quickly added what they called ABL, which was a little circuit they previously used in Beolab 3000 and 5000. It's adaptive bass linearization, and what that does is basically boosts up the bass at low volumes so that it gives you that nice rich full sound that B&O are known for, and then gently backs off the bass as you turn the volume up so it doesn't overpower the speakers. So from starting in 1992, the speakers ran for a decade in their first version, and then they were upgraded. There was a Mark II version, visually absolutely identical. The only difference is, inside under this cover, those two 4-inch bass drivers were upgraded, so now they can cope with more bass. Basically the cones will cope with moving further from their rest position, so you'll get a deeper bass and more volume in the bass from the Mark IIs. 2003 onwards was that upgrade. The way to tell you've got a Mark II speaker is have a look in the cable cover underneath the flap, which we'll show you in a moment. There is a serial number. If that starts with a 17 or above, then you have the Mark II versions with a overall sound is pretty much the same but slightly improved bass abilities. They ran until 2010, and at that point the almost identical Beolab 8002, the 8002, came out. So that used exactly the same case. There's a very slight difference at the point where the indicator light's shown at the bottom, which is the easiest way to tell them apart visually. And also inside, the old analogue power amplifiers were changed to digital ICE power amps. Roughly the same sort of power output, about 150 watts for the bass, 150 watts for the treble, give or take a little. But less heat was generated, which meant they could run at high volume for longer periods. There's also a little difference in terms of the connections. The old phono RCA line socket that was fitted to the 8000s disappeared on the 8002. So there's a change if you want to use these with a non-B&O system. Then in 2012 the 8002s were withdrawn. All went quiet for 3 years, and in 2015 this appeared. Beolab 18, pretty much the same footprint, same height, again very similar power output, around about 150 watts for each amplifier, digitalised power amps again, two 4-inch bass drivers, and again a single tweeter at the top. But the critical difference this time is that instead of being hidden behind the grille, this tweeter fires upwards. It uses the acoustic lens that B&O developed originally for the Beolab 5 back in 2003. Working along with Sausalito Audio and Molten Labs, this uses a parabolic reflector to fire high-pitched treble sounds upwards and reflect them out through 180 degrees, so that wherever you sit in the room, you get perfect sound. So in terms of bass response, technically quite similar performance to the 8000s. Treble response has the potential to be very different. So we'll have a listen, and I'll come back to you and let you know what we find. Now that's been interesting. We had a listen to both sets of speakers. So the 8000s we've got here are the Mark 1 version with admittedly slightly lighter bass than the later versions, against the Beolab 18s. As you might have seen in some of my other videos, I've got Mark 1 8000s at home. They're a favourite in the family. Lovely, warm, traditional B&O sound. So playing some of my favourite tracks through those, that's been nice, familiar. I like the tone of them. Slightly bass heavy, but not with any great depth to the bass. Warm, friendly, very listenable sound. It's been very interesting hearing those same tracks on Beolab 18. And the key difference is that acoustic lens sat on the top. Best way to describe what that gives you effectively, going back to Beolab 8000s again after hearing the new 18s, you feel as if they've been put under a cover. There's that indefinable sense that the 8000s are a little bit muted and muffled, and the 18s with that lens sat up on the top, it's distinctive. I know some people have said online they don't like the look of the lens, some love it. In terms of sound, absolutely it's essential. It turns the old 8000s into a proper hi-fi speaker again. Whilst the bass isn't as deep as a super high-end speaker like the Beolab 90s, it's good enough for virtually all genres of music. We've been playing a few different things this morning. We've had some electronic dance music from Madonna with quite a deep synth bass to it, and the 18s resolve that really well. I'd say just guessing that there's probably something like 45 to 50 hertz extension of bass at normal listening levels. I'll need to check that on the technical specs. That would match fairly well to the quoted spec of the Beolab 8000s at 52 hertz. There's not a lot for that bottom octave. If you're into drum and bass music or anything with serious organ pedals for traditional choral music, maybe these aren't the best speakers for you, but for any regular music, for light acoustic, folk, classical, rock and pop, they're perfect. The 8000s take the sound that you're used to and give you a nice warm gentle presentation. Easy to listen to in the background, but maybe not the best for serious listening. The 18s on the other hand take that same tone and lift it. There's a clarity and a crystalness there in the treble that just makes them accurate, precise, really enjoyable. You start to hear things in your music that maybe if you'd always listened to 8000s you wouldn't have noticed was there. Just that sort of gentle sound of a cymbal and the overtones with drums, the hearing a guitarist's fingers on the frets, things that you would just pass you by with 8000s. If you've got Beolab 8000s at home, then I'd very strongly recommend having a listen to the 18s. Bring along either some music you know well, or a DVD or Blu-ray of a movie that you know well. That's the way to really experience the improvement that a quarter of a century of technical upgrades have made to an iconic speaker, the difference is really quite pronounced. And personally, it made me really rethink whether I can go back to my Mark 1 Beolab 8000s at home, or whether I need to start looking at Beolab 18. What do you think? Please leave some comments below and let me know. Have you heard the two speakers side by side? What do you think of the design? Would you consider an upgrade? If you haven't heard them, I'd encourage you please get out to a B&O store, come to Lincoln if it's within travelling distance, and hear the difference between the speakers, and please let me know what you think.